Kia ora and welcome to a new video from NZ Pocket Guide. Today I'm going to give you a quick rundown about traveling in New Zealand by plane or by train, so you know what you're in for. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's begin with talking about the train networks in New Zealand. In short, there are only three major train lines in the country, which is the Transalpine, one of the most scenic train rides in the world, the Coastal Pacific, and the Northern Explorer, which is the only main train line on the northern end of New Zealand. There are also some other train tours available in New Zealand, but those are much shorter and only mostly an attraction and not really a transport method in the country. Those include train tours in Dunedin, Kawakawa, Gisborne and many other places. There are some commuting trains available in New Zealand, such as Auckland to Hamilton and within the Auckland city. There are also a couple of train lines around the Wellington city that will link Wellington to some other suburbs. When it comes down to planes, there are two main airlines in New Zealand, and those will be Air New Zealand as well as Jetstar, with Jetstar being the more budget options with usually much lower prices. The cheapest routes to fly from are usually Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch and Queenstown. Those are the main airports and the main hubs when it comes down to flying in New Zealand, and this is where you're going to be able to find some flights which are under 100 New Zealand dollars per one way. Other than that, there are a lot of other airports in the countries, but the prices are much higher as they are usually served by much smaller planes. Be aware when flying around New Zealand that your luggage allowance may be wildly different than what you had when you came into the country with your international flight. So you will have to adapt to those or pay extra in order to fit all your luggage in the plane. Now, the last tip that I would like to mention is that when traveling by plane in New Zealand, you will be missing out a lot. There is a lot to see in New Zealand, and the road trip along the ways are a major part of your trip in the country. It is always a highlight to be able to see all the amazing landscapes that New Zealand have to offer by road. So make sure to consider traveling around New Zealand by road rather than flying around the country. That's everything that I have for you today. There is much more information on nzpocketguide.com, and the whole team is joining me in wishing you the best time ever in New Zealand.